I'm really thankful to Januta and particularly my colleagues and students. Let me just tell something about myself. I was never a student of geography till I came to JNU. In fact, my specialization, if at all it was, I was a student of English literature. And when I came to JNU, I thought that let me expose myself. And during those days, you take admission in a discipline or in a center, but I had the liberty of going to classes. 6 courses I did in economics, 4 in history, 2, 3 in political science. And as a result of that, I lost my English somewhere. And I also could not get geography the way it is taught. But friends and students, my exposure to the Northeast for nearly 16 years, and as it is, a lot of students used to do research with me, their MPhil and PhD, my condition was that I will not supervise any student unless I happen to visit the area that he is specializing. As a result of that, I am indebted to the students of the Northeastern Hill University, particularly students coming from Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, and all these things. As a result of that, when I talk of nation, then it reminds me of a poem by Sudama Pandey. If you really want to know the virtue of iron, please don't look at the sword of Maharana Pratap. Look at the lagam that the horse has. He knows what actually is the worth of iron. When we talk of nation and nationalism, the Nagas, the Mizos, they have an imagination of a larger Nagaland. Suddenly on 15th of August 1947, their nation was bifurcated without really knowing that on fine morning they become anti-national because they have not really participated in the making a geography of this country. Now what I am saying is that the method they may have adopted is wrong. But the issue that they are raising saying that when a nation is being made, whether we are participant to the nation or not, please listen to it. And therefore I have chosen to a topic to talk of crisis of nation. Why crisis of nation? The simple reason is that the way the nation has been constructed to us, there are 2 ways nation has been constructed. One is called the legal way of constructing a nation. And this comes from, the nation that we understand today there are 3 founding pillars. First of all is the Treaty of Westphalia, where they have said that now we must need a unitary centralizing power. The second one came from what is known as the popular article about the right of man by Thomas Paine. Let me just tell you, Thomas Paine is a person who is the character in history. He is the only person who has participated in all the 3 revolutions, the American Revolution, the French Revolution, and the British Revolution. And the tragedy of this man was that when he wrote The Right of Man, Edmund Burke had the audacity of abusing him in every possible terms, because he said that you being the propagator of this treaty, and you justifying the French Revolution. And as a result of that, this person is the one who said the right of man. Second one was basically from the American Revolution itself, the right of representation. From 1750 to 1770, they say that no taxation without representation. Therefore, people who are not happy to be listed but also counted, they do matter. And as a result of that, the third one was basically, much later, is liberty by John Stuart Mill. But that was in 1854. Now how does it matter? It matters that these things epitomized in the French Revolution, and therefore they say that hereafter nation will not be considered only as a political entity, as a legal entity, but nation should be considered as a civil entity, in which the laws, rules and regulations, rights are essential, but they are not, or maybe necessary condition, but not sufficient. They have to be qualified with justice. And as a result of that, Voltaire was also the protagonist that right, reason, literacy, education should be qualification for being a citizen. Rousseau said, sorry, no. Unless you take knowledge and wisdom and social contract should be the condition. If a nation is not just, if nation rights are not just, if any law is not just, therefore what he said is that a nation does not deserve to be a nation. And as a result of that, today when we talk of sedition, sedition may be legally right, but in terms of justice, it may not be. And therefore what I am going to discuss you today is that what are the crises of nation? But before I do that, let me just tell you, what did the nation, why did the nation become an entity? How did it become a reality? The first thing is that, as I told you, there was transition from subject to citizen. Please, whenever we talk of law of sedition in India, 1860, that time Indians were not citizens. Today, if you apply the same law, we are citizens. And as a result of that, what you are trying to reduce is that my right to be a citizen is being undermined. Some of my colleagues have been telling that in JNU, the teachers are basically motivating, they are brainwashing to the students. Please, these people do not have faith on the youth of this country. Please, you can make a government, you can elect your representative, you can elect it. Now you are not Tabula Rasa, that here we come and clean your mind. Therefore they do not have the confidence on the people. What we do basically is that we engage you. What we engage you is that you are a responsible citizen. You know what is right and what is wrong. Simply is that we want to have a communication with you. And it is this citizenship that is non-negotiable. And therefore, if you are thinking that still we will meet the student like subject, that is not the criteria. The first of all, nation became possible because citizenship became the hallmark of the people thereafter. The second important aspect is that of democracy. Now, democracy is again a very contested terrain. Somebody says that right to get elected, or even they are interlinked to citizenship. A citizen is one who has right to produce and reproduce, right to invest, and also right to participate in history. But that does not make it automatically. What makes it automatically is that, is it basically your consent? Democracy without consent is not a democracy. Now how you really get the consent? After the French Revolution, when legitimacy shifted from divine to the people, thereafter what they did is that, let us also start a ministry or a mechanism where consent can also be manufactured. Now democracy to begin with very good, but because of the political, legal aspect of nation, what actually happened that people started manufacturing consent, while the justice aspect or the social contract says that democracy, unless you work to democratize the knowledge system itself, the basic unit itself, the families, the classrooms, the political parties, even the entire system of socialization, unless you raise the movement, democracy will not be possible. Therefore, democracy is a attribute of daily plebiscite, wherever you continuously renew new social ties, a new social contract. Democracy is a system of every time renewing your social contract. And therefore, the first aspect that citizens, second aspect was that of the democracy, or what kind. Therefore, when we have to see whether democracy is the right way being implemented or not. Whether democracy is also activating people or motivating people to question the kind of patriarchy that exists, the undemocratic practices, the kind of knowledge. In fact, T.S. Eliot was saying once upon a time, where is life we have lost in living? Where is wisdom we have lost in knowledge? Where is knowledge we have in information? Now what's actually happening is that in the name of right to know, what you are knowing is basic information. There is no knowledge. And as a result of that, a democracy must make a distinction between what is knowledge, what is wisdom, and what is information. And that is why one has to really take into consideration. The third important aspect is that of nation without territory. And when you make territory, the boundaries become very important. Now what actually happened, that boundaries started becoming one of the criteria by which you can construct the other. Therefore geography, or somebody calls it geobodification. For example, in Germany, when nation came to exist, Germania, and surprisingly, like Mother India in India is also Germania. For example, it is Mariana in France. What actually happening is that you are imposing a political territory into female. And therefore, what actually happened, why Mother India? Mother India was taken from Anand Math of Bankim Chandra, by Bankim Chandra. Now the question is that, it's very surprising. Bankim Chandra's book Anand Math, he started this book, the enemy was the British to begin with, in the first edition. But since he was a revenue officer under the British, he thought that the British may become angry. Subsequently, in the second edition, British were replaced by Muslims. And as a result of that, this became the most potent, most useful document for the people, those who have changed the color of, or the size of their pant now. This is the, so far as it was the British, there were no takers. But thereafter, when the Muslims, as a result of that, this geobodification. Now, why mother? Because in patriarchy, mother is constructed as weak, fragile, emotional, compassionate, caring. Therefore, it is the duty of the son, the devout son, the proud son, to protect. If you have to protect the father, then it is unbecoming of the patriarch. Patriarch can command everybody. Nobody can command patriarch. And as a result of that, this mother concept becomes very usable. As a result of that, it continues to survive and reproduce the kind of weakness, the kind of emotional aspect of it, and that is very important. The other important aspect of that is the concept of identities. In fact, E.J. Hobsbawm, in his book Nations and Nationalism between 1780 to 1880, he says that in Europe, there were as many as 400 identities of different type. When after 1880, when the nation state came into existence, only 17 identities were left. And today, if the process goes on, days are not very far. At present, there are 60,000 different languages people speak, or dialects or patois they communicate. By 2051, only 4 languages will survive. And that is where one has to understand this is happening within the nation state, with the agenda of the nation state, because nation is being considered as a legal aspect. If it is justified, certainly not. And this is not happening onto culture. This is also happening to, the Rice Research Institute at Manila has 30,000 germ plasma of rice. Yesterday somebody was talking about biodiversity. I'm just giving an example of one diversity, that is the rice. By 2050 again, 98% of the rice that is produced will be only of 4 varieties of rice. Now as a result of that, this is what is happening. How identities will really, the linguistic identities will go, national identities have disappeared, even the other kind of identities will not be there. Now once you have a national identity, now national identity is Unitarian. In fact, if you are in a nation, one flag, one song, or sometimes one uniform, or one currency, and at the same time, one legal system. What I'm saying is that, please just try to understand. I have seen people in Arunachal Pradesh. There is a community called Monpas. Now this is a lesson for the people. In Monpas, the only way one can get married is married by capture. Now the question is that, you have to capture, and if you can keep the girl in your confine for 3 days, then you are entitled to marry. If, say for example, you fail 3 times, then throughout your life you cannot marry. Now the question is that, what actually happening is that we have one IPC, and you are trying to judge, but please try to understand. I am not justifying what the Monpas are doing is correct or not, but please, one must understand, make them participant, Please do not impose, do not other them, because Sartre says that the moment you other is hell and it has no right to survive. And it's in this context that the way nations start othering, that is not acceptable. But in social contract, there is no other. In social contract, you can always revive, you can always change. Now, it in this context that I want to tell. The next important aspect is that constitutionalism. In fact, one law, one rule, one kind of things. Now, in case of India, there is a constitution. But please, this constitution has to be slightly different. It is called Samvidhan. Now, Samvidhan could be Samay ka Vidhan. Is it the need of the hour? That point of time, this was a necessity. Therefore, when the time changes, are we able to change this constitution? It is Sambandho ka Vidhan. It is a document of different kind of social contracts. And also Samvidhan. Everybody is equal in the eyes of constitution. Now the thing is that whether people of this country need to be constructed according to the constitution, or rather the constitution of country should be changed according to people. Now the question is that Dr. Bhimrao Ambedkar, who is the man behind this thing, he was telling, please, when you are fighting for your citizenship of independence, whether right to self-rule should be the important agenda, or right to self-respect. Now what actually happened that self-respect is an agenda of social justice, while self-rule is basically an agenda of law, legality, the political discourse. And as a result of that, we must also try to say that constitution of this country must also bring it on board the justice aspect of it. If it does not, justice of gender, justice of ethnicity, justice of language, justice of region, or justice to hold different viewpoints. Everybody who does not agree with you does not necessarily mean he is against you. The thing is that justice, plurality, diversity is the aspect of justice. Justice, the moment you talk of uniformity, uniformity can take place only and only when at the cost of justice and at the prospect of injustice. It is in this light one must really understand. Now, the other important aspect that I want to tell is that also the action. What actually happened, what kind of action has to be legal action, what kind of action has to be the extra legal action. Now, when you are constructing a dam, now dam construction is taking place, justice is given that we need electricity, we need power, we need to develop, because without energy, because we are deficit in the fossil fuel, renewable fuel are not there. But why every time that some people who are earmarked to pay the price for it? If India or colonies were subsidizing the development in Europe, why that in India it is scheduled areas, scheduled tribe areas? Arunachal Pradesh is important because 40% of the hydropower potential of this country lies there. Northeast is important, Nagaland, Mizoram, Manipur, because out of the 30,000 germ plasma of rice that rice station Manula has, 15,000 has been contributed by the different ethnic communities that in Northeast of India, and we do not have even the courtesy to acknowledge it. What is worse, when we talk of partition of this country, we talk of partition of Bengal, partition of Punjab. Did anybody talk of partition of Nagaland, of Mizoram, of Manipur? They still remain partitioned. I'm not saying that whether this method is right or wrong, but the demand is correct. When you talk, what they simply want, we are also agonized. We have also suffered. And please, just accept this, just acknowledge that. And that is what we have to understand. Now what actually happening is that everything is being done, as Habermas said, through strategic action. There are two types of languages being used. The state and economy is using a kind of language, what is called strategic language. What the people and the individuals in society is talking of communicative language, and there is a disconnect. Whatever is happening is basically one is talking in terms of the development, taking forward, but how can you take forward if people are not with you? If there's a communication gap. Everybody who says different words, he becomes anti-national. He is anti-national because you are sticking to a legalistic definition of a nation. What I'm saying is that nation has to be seen in terms of a social contract. It is in this. And it is because of this that today nation states are facing serious crisis. Nation, not only Indian nation, nation everywhere. They have outlived their utilities, and the earlier they go, the better. Because in human history has not paid as a bigger price for anything as they have paid for nation. And it continues to be paid so. So long as nation continue, the process of othering, sacrifices will be very more on different pretexts. Enemies will be created. Enemies outside, enemies from within, and within you will be externalized. Enemy within will be externalized. For example, if somebody is doing something, he is a communist, but communist is possessing Western ideology, then you externalize him. A Muslim is because he is not loyalty. Somebody says that a Muslim, because his concept of Janmabhumi, Punyabhumi, or what is called the Pitribhumi is different. And on the basis of that, you externalize. Though the reality that what is different between me and a Muslim, or for them anybody else? We speak same language, we speak same food habit, we look like same. Only one thing that may be different, and that overrules everything else. In fact, what we should look is that how many commonalities are there, and that should be more important. The last thing that I want to tell about this, then I will come to crisis, is that the way they have considered the geography of this nation, the territorialization of it, the political territorialization. For example, in India, we are having problems with Bangladesh, we are having problems with Nepal, we are having problems with Bhutan, sometimes with Pakistan. Because we think that political boundary or legalized political boundary is genuine. Say river Brahmaputra. River Brahmaputra has its source in Tibet, flows through India, goes into Bangladesh. Why can't this be a unit, an imagination which can bring us all together, rather than this becoming a bone of contention? Similar is the case about Nepal. So many rivers are there in Nepal. What I'm saying, the cultural boundaries. The cultural boundaries of the people speak same language in West Bengal and Bangladesh. People speak same kind of language in West Punjab and East Punjab. Why can't cultural boundaries be taken on board rather than sticking to a political boundary, which is basically what I would call is a colonial design. The colonial power, they really wanted India to be divided the way it is. Unfortunately, they could not do what they did in South Africa, in African countries. They could not cut this country like cake. But unfortunately, what actually happened that the ecological aspect, the cultural aspect, and many other aspects, which provide a better alternative for reconfiguring the territory of this country. But we are sticking to, because a map is there. Now, what for most of the people, and it's surprising, at one point of time, 78% people of parliament could not even sing the national song. 78% of people in parliament could not really sing the national song, and another 94% people did not draw even the map of India because they think India is the map of India. Please just understand, map of India is not India. India lives in everybody's heart. India lives in the kind of the social contract we continuously engage ourselves. Now, it is in this backdrop I would like to tell what are the crises of nation state and how even the sedition which is basically a political or legal kind of category which does not apply to a social contract category, how we are really being blended. Number one is basically as I told that there's a contradiction between the political citizenship and the civic citizenship. Now what the people of JNU really want, we are not against political citizenship, but we also want that civic citizenship should also be part of this thing. And whenever you say, we want that, okay, fine, certainly we have a disagreement, and the moment I disagree with you, I become your enemy. In fact, somebody called we must be tolerant. Please, there is nothing more dangerous than being tolerant. Tolerance means that you should not be here, you should be grateful to me because I am tolerant. No, tolerance is not to be there. Everybody must have the equal right like anybody else. Nobody needs to tolerate me, or I need not tolerate anybody. You are as good and as faithful citizen of this country as anybody else. Therefore, please, tolerance is basically, oh, we are sympathetic, you are here by our mercy. Sorry, no. What I'm saying is that we must have mutual respect for everybody. That should be the basis, rather than being tolerant. Second thing is that, the nation was supposed to thrive on three principles. That's the motto. Liberty, equality, and fraternity, which was the song of the French Revolution. Today what actually happening is that neither liberty, nor freedom, nor equality. In fact, what actually happens that today, in the age of economic liberalization, you really don't know what you have lost. In fact, what actually happened, what we took for granted, we suddenly tend to remain appropriated. The Bikaner, the Bhujia, the famous Bikaner Bhujia, that we thought that is coming from Bikaner. Please, it is no more coming from Bikaner, it is coming from Nestle. The question is that, I tell my students that why Bikaner Bhujia is so popular. The reason is that they grow a particular type of plant is grown in that part of Rajasthan, what is known as Sajilana. It is the juice of that plant that was added to these pulses, and from that the bhujia was made. Now what Nestle has done it, they have not bothered about what is the tradition, and they are simply marketing it. Different kind of traditional knowledge system, the cultural and social capital will remain appropriated. One day Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, even your idli and dosa, your pakhal will also be, you will be defaulter. So much so that what has been, you have been preserving, what do you think belongs to you, suddenly you remain violated, particularly after change of the new patent law with the product patent. Now you have got to product a patent. The process is not there. The idli has patented, whatever way you could do it. And as a result of it, nations are not in a position to defend you. It is this right. And they, in fact, they are collaborating and conniving with that. The other important aspect of this is that the ecological crisis, the global warming, all these kind of things, nations are telling now, please, we are helpless. What do you do? You bring carbon emission down. You do this CFC gases. George Bush has the audacity of telling that you Indians are using lot of cows, cattle, and because of the cattle are defecating too much, therefore methane is being there. He says the Indian middle class income has increased, therefore you Indians are eating more rice, your food habits is changing, therefore rice is becoming costly. Now the question is that, the blame, you are being blamed, and what is surprising again, the law says that even you pick up a plastic from the street, you can be charged of theft, because all the wastage belongs to the municipality. As a result of that, if somebody is doing something which maybe by habit, even your habit can also be offensive. Now it in this light one must understand that whether this ecology for us or we are for the ecology. But anyway, the ecological crisis are the one which nation states are not able to protect, they are not equipped. It is not their wherewithal. And it is in this context one must really understand. Arjun Appadurai brings two more components. What he says that nations are also supposed to have the cultural repository. It's a cultural container also. But today, what is the choice that my children have? My children have the choice between Mickey Donald and Hanumanji. Now the question is that, I am against Mickey Donald, but I am equal against Hanumanji also. Now as a result of that, this corporate entertainment, the Donald Duck, and as a result of that, what actually happening is that, the Barbie doll, $44,000 billion is the return of the Barbie doll. Just you visit the Sangharsh Doll Museum, there are 43,000 type of dolls there, representing each cultural repositories. Today, Barbie doll has banished them all, and no nation can protect these cultures. One must really understand that whether nations are for the protection of the cultural right of the people or not. And this is really, it reflects the crisis. If you fail to deliver what you are supposed to be, you are not supposed to be the policeman, not to enter into privacy, not to see that who is singing pro and anti-national songs. You are also that if somebody is invading your culture, that must be. The other important aspect is that There is also, Arjun Appadurai says that diasporic crisis. There are people, when the WTC happened in the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world, its president went 7 stories down below. They say, we will smoke them there. If you wanted to smoke, why don't you come on the surface? The question is that he immediately entered into a nuclear shed. 82,000 people asked for visa to leave America then and there. Nobody is going to sacrifice themselves for any country. Now what actually happens, he says that these diasporic, with our present government think that they will develop India. Sorry, they have no stake in any government. There are people who have no stake on anybody. They are investing on themselves. They don't bother our country, they don't bother our culture. They are there because India offers an investment opportunity. The moment if investment opportunity is good, Malia, after everybody knows where he is, and he says that I am not a fugitive. हम भाग नहीं रहे हैं, हम आएंगे लौट के. Now the question is that this is the kind of people that the kind of protection and the kind of patronage they are getting, these diasporic people. Please, yesterday there was a big festival at the Yamuna Bank. Again, they are not nationalists by any stretch of imagination. They have come here to take or to rob something that they can have. Suddenly some dance, some song will be, they will do it, or some kind of new, territory they will look forward. The other important aspect that I really want to talk is there is generally a crisis of geobody today. What actually happening is that not many people today want to stick to the map aspect of a geography. Maps are really becoming a kind of trial. Maps are becoming a kind of trap. What actually happens is that people really want to go beyond the map trap. What they want to exercise is that let us extend our relationship in terms of the creativity. I mean, if you can come into contact with people, not to talk of their nationality, not to talk of their race, not to talk of the language that they speak, how to take human beings in general to higher level that one must really understand. The last important aspect that I really want to talk about before I come to the actual crisis is that in case of India, when there was rise of nationalism between 1780 to 1880, India had the misfortune of experiencing what kind of colonialism. That is also a phase which coincided with de-urbanization, de-industrialization. Obviously, national potential also got evaporated. After Second World War, when we got the nationhood, that is the time when nation was in crisis. Now, as a result of that, we were never the historical partner of nation building. We became the political partner. We never had the experience like the French had, what is the price that one must really pay for the nation? What are the locations the nation can have? As a result of that, we did not have that experience. Please, in history there are no shortcuts. Lenin said once upon a time, it is not that the ruling class cannot be thrown out of power without revolution, but revolution is a must because they will also know how to use the power they can get thereafter. And this is a must. History is a very good teacher. Not the history department is the only one who can teach, but the way you participate in history, that's also a very good teacher. History department teaches, there's no doubt about that. But the way you all participate in history making is also a very good teacher. Now the important aspect that in India is that also, in India there is a kind of exceptionalism. We are driven by exceptionalism. I mean, Maharana Pratap is Maharana Pratap because he is exceptional. Because the horse that he was riding is an exceptional horse. It used to run faster than the wind speed. Now one must understand how do you measure wind speed. Wind speed can be 2 kilometer wind speed, a tornado, or tempest, or the typhoon. But anyway, let us accept that it was beyond the typhoon. Fine. Then this gentleman had javelin, which javelin is basically 93 kg. Therefore, none of you can be Rana Pratap. Therefore, what actually happened that our heroes reduced us to miniatures. Let's say, for example, Sri Ram. who is very popular, who needs a temple now, he is houseless. Okay. Okay. Now the person is again exceptional. What actually happens is that, in fact, it is these ordinary people whom we never had a confidence. Because we think, even Mahatma Gandhi, people say that in India, there are 4 people who are exceptional. Lord Buddha, Ajanubahu, his hands could touch his heel. Mahatma Gandhi, again Ajanubahu. And also Maharana Pratap Ajanubahu and Sri Ram Ajanubahu. Since one of us can have, and as a result of we believe in some kind of messianics. Please, we must have faith in common people. Those who make history, those who have always been counted but never listed. And it is in this case, we must really try to understand how common man really plays part in history. Now the most thing that I love to come is that today, nation state along with the corporate liberal interest have declared a war against life in general and life processes. Today, it has been actively working for finding colony in the organisms. What's actually happening that it is continuously rotating the life rhythms of everybody. What is green revolution? Green revolution is nothing but you have changed the rhythm of the agricultural product. What is blue revolution? You have changed the rhythm of this thing. What is white revolution? Now the greatest achievement of white revolution is not India is the largest producer of milk, though per unit production is much low, is that we are able to produce a male buffalo whose price can be more than that of Tendulkar. Tendulkar got around how many? 5 crores. This bull was sold for 10 crore in Sonipat. This is the kind of the thing. As a result of that, different kind of breeds of the cows will be completely eliminated. Only Jersey cow will live and only the buffalo, because this gentleman earns 50 lakh rupees per month from that male buffalo. It is this kind of war that they have declared. Anything which is different has no right to survive. And all this, now health. India is becoming a health resort. Please, not that people want to come to India and get the anti-aging. What's actually happening is that today, if you want organ trade, come to India. In fact, if you want a designer baby, come to India. If you want outsourcing of your womb, come to India. Now it is this, that the nation state is failing miserably to protect its own people, that it's supposed to legitimize it. Now what actually happening today is that, the Facebook, which all of you are very fond of, and that what? Apple and Facebook. They came with a very good luxurious proposal. The luxurious proposal is like this. If you can, you are employed, though there is no gender discrimination. Everybody can get job in the Facebook and the Apple. But if ladies come, their biological clock is a problem. Therefore what they say, can you postpone your motherhood? If you postpone your motherhood, then we will give you $20,000. And we will give you $300 per year to maintain that egg in the egg bank. Now find some of the people opted. Those who did not opt were fired because they said that your commitment to the organization is very low. Now the question is that they are between the fire and the frying pan. And it is in this context that what they have done, that they have launched a war against all kind of organisms. Now, everybody knows that Amit Kumar, who was a homeopath, but this homeopath succeeded in transplanting 5,000 kidneys in moving vans. I mean the moving vans, and this full-fledged trade is happening. There is no citizen charges against him. The citizen charges against JNU student because they have said something. The question is that once somebody is reducing human beings to the commodity value, is violating their human rights, is basically not being charged because nation state has a protection. Now one must really talk nation state, please, whatever you are doing, What I'm saying is that Darwin wrote a book in 1587, The Origin of the Species. The nation state are writing a book, End of the Species. Because today, all the species, even human species, now what actually happens is that people do not want, or they have no option. Now everybody wants a designer baby. A baby which they think will be very good in football, so that they can go to Chelsea or they can play in other places. Somebody might like to have. As a result of that, every time, and this reduction of option should be treated as a violation of your human rights. But human rights have never been a matter of serious debate and discussion as far as crisis of nations are concerned. This, I think, is an ontological war that nations are launching on the human beings, on every being. People do not have. Now what actually happens is that Agamben says that this has come up in the context of there is bios and there zoos. It is the market. It is the market which is deciding the social. And it is the social which is deciding the human, the organic. In fact, the rules should be different. We are, what is poverty today in India? Poverty today in India is defined. Not who gets this much calorie or per capita consumption. No. Those who consume certain things, fail to consume is poverty. As a result, the onus lies on the poor. That you are not a good consumer, therefore you are poor. Now the question is that, it is in this light, one must really understand that when the nation states are doing justice, and they cannot do, simply reason that for them nation stands a legal category. I understand for nation should understand for civil category, nation should stand for the social contract, which Rousseau was telling. And this is very interesting. Rousseau and Voltaire, they were together. But it's very unfortunate. Both of them were for the nation. Voltaire said that, even if I don't agree with you, I am ready to die to save your right to be free, except Rousseau. Because he used everything possible under the sun to demonize Rousseau. And that is the kind of, it is basically Voltaire, who was all for with Kant. Rousseau said that please do not accept nation as a political entity. In French Revolution, which is supposed to be the one where nation got epitomised, nation was never political. Nations were based on social contract. Nations were basically based on democracy. Today what actually happening is that, in case of India, we have a very narrow definition of nation which is being seen in terms of the political viability. Please look at it whether it is justifiable in terms of the justice or not. And in this case, I am simply saying that please look at, Faiz Ahmad said in a word that पापोस की क्या फिक्र है दस्तार संभालो पायाब है जो मौज गुजर जाएगी सर से. Today it is only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 people have been in charge of sedition. Time is not very far. If the political remain the central theme of nation state, everybody will be on the other side of the nation state. Now the reason is that one must really come forward to say that nation must stand for continuous renewal of the social contract, and that is the only future that lies. Thank you very much.